Hey everybody, I'm that girl Goddess, and today I'm going to talk about jealousy between spouses and significant others. Okay, a lot of people think that when you get married that person is more prone to just being there for you. Not true. Sometimes people marry you and they be deeply all into you. And I'm not gonna just say marriage because I know a lot of people don't believe in marriage or want to be married. They're significant others or live-ins. And they find out along the way that these people are jealous of them. And I know a lot of people say, well, how is that? Sometimes you can be married to somebody and the moment you get a advancement, finish college and get your degree, um, get a promotion on a job or get a job, start a business, and when you start making significant amounts of money in your business, they get angry. They try things like trying to make you pay more bills. Even if you were splitting things 50-50, they feel that if you make significantly more money, you have more obligation. But that's not true. You have to stick to the agreements. And if the bills doesn't change and you're making the same amount of money and this person has a come up, they have a right to enjoy their come up. They don't owe you nothing, whether they male or female. You know, the problem with a lot of people is they want to get something for nothing. They want to ride off somebody and then define that as love. No. When the husband and wife, they're supposed to put in together. They help meets to each other. First, the man has his obligation for his bills, but when he take on the wife, they're supposed to be funding them bills together. And I always tell people, well, that can be seen as a 50-50. But as a husband aiming to be the dominant provider in the relationship, he should take care of at least her phone bill, okay, outside of the 50-50. He should, make sure he pay for 75% of the food bill. And I'm saying that just because even before children gets into place, men tend to eat more than women. Okay? They have to set out a plan to budget their bills and, their lights and gas and take down their monthly bill, the usage anyway. They're going to have to build on each other. And some people, you're in a marriage with them or significant others, they get a job. And a lot of these jobs don't give raises. They don't have advancement. So they're content with their job. And they just feel like when they go forward or you married, that you should pay them for being there. And they don't put in no effort in a marriage. I know a lot of marriages where the woman don't clean, she don't cook. He come home and cook, come home and take care of the children. She had them during the day, or they was at school and he come home and, take on the welfare of the children. And a lot of women, when they look for spouses, they look for a father. And a father is someone who provides for his children without intimate relations. That's why you shouldn't call a man your sugar daddy. Because you're basically calling him a father figure, which is incestual when you think about it in terms of the biblical sense. You're not supposed to be intimate with your father. And since you're going to be intimate, it is a wrong word to use because parental love does not involve intimacy. And when that person come in saying they're going to do, your sugar daddy, I just look at people, first of all, you're not going into the relationship as a woman or as a wife. there's no glory in it because it's just being a hooker, basically, with no grounds of growth. Because you rarely see a sugar daddy situation where they move somebody in and build a life with them because they just want to get what they get and be done. And usually the sugar daddy stops being a sugar daddy. He stops giving in all that money after you get used to a certain thing, and he blocked everybody out your life. But you chose that. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not wrong. Because you have to evaluate what you're willing to deal with when you're in a relationship. And you can always leave. Significant others can always leave. They did not make a vow to be there for you for life. And I hear a lot of people get upset and like, that was my girl, that was my man, and they left, they moved on. Well, being a significant other gives you that right to move on when you ask please, whether you like to hear that or not. But I'm going to go back to the jealousy thing. When a man see a woman advance a lot of times, and especially if she makes more money or get a degree, they tend to be competitive in their thinking. And then they go into thoughts of insecurity, like, will she leave me? Do she need me? Will she treat me less than a man? Because sometimes they see themselves as less when they can't be the dominant provider. And then they'll start doing things like, okay, we need to go on a vacation. Demanding that you pay for our vacation, demanding this and that. And a lot of females do it. They see their spouse get so much money, they feel they got to spend their money. And then they'll say, it's our money. No. If you read the woman in Proverbs 31, but the virtuous woman, she had her accounts. She had her business. She put in when he couldn't do, and as they went along, she was putting in too because she was to help meet the cost. That's what I tell people, help meet means help meet the cost at hand to sustain you. But she couldn't save money if he was spending it up, and she had her own accounts because he didn't know about it, okay? And I tell people, the problem is a lot of people want to go into a relationship and they want to be something for nothing, do less as possible. In my mind, you need to communicate and talk about things before you decide to marry or, view things, because some people are looking for different things, and even men, they know they have a dead-end job. They'll quit once you get married or once you're in a relationship, so they don't have to do the dominance, and they put the pressure on you. Hey. And we have to make decisions based on the type of lifestyle we actually want to live. If you want to get from, I'm going to say, under middle class or the poverty level, you got to put in the work. Both of y'all got to be on that accord to want to get it. Both of y'all got to save up. Because I tell a lot of people, a married couple, people, and you see relationships, they not even married and they want to buy a home. And I say, well, when y'all break up or something happens, who's going to pay the mortgage? One person needs to be able to afford that mortgage. Both parties actually need to know how to be able to afford it and be able to on their own. And then have, I said, you have to plan for failure in life. If something happened or he died or something right shortly after you got the home and everything, and then you got to meet that mortgage. Otherwise, you got to immediately downsize if you can't afford it. Okay, and that's the problem with a lot of situations. You don't plan for failure. But then a lot of people, like I say, they don't want to see their spouses or their significant others come higher because of insecurity. And it creates jealousy because a lot of people look at other people's relationship and feel, well, her man will work 2 and 3 jobs, to make sure she have this, or she's putting in the work for hers. When he met her, she already had a house, couple properties and stuff, and They work this out like this. And you can't evaluate your relationship based upon what somebody else's relationship is, because you don't know what they brought into the relationship, and you don't know the labor they do behind it. Okay? But that will create a lot of jealousy, because a lot of women be like, they go on vacation every year. And they be jealous of their friends, jealous of their spouse job, that they travel, and then they have to stay home with the children. But that job is the dominant money. And they don't fight to try to get that person fired and say they think they too much better than them. And even if they travel on a business move for the company, they feel that they should be able, whichever spouse is making that kind of money or traveling, oh, you need to take me with you. Then the accusations you meeting somebody else, and they can know it's business. But when somebody's jealous hearted, they will start accusing you of things that's really not true. It's really just a part of their insecurity and their jealousy. They want to be the ones to be able to say they're going to do it, but not willing to do the work. Some people, you can have, relationships with people, significant others, spouses, and they can be jealous of your family. They can be jealous of a mindset. And when you try to come higher, they be like, oh, you think you're too good now. They don't want to be with you, or they argue all the time because they feel like they can't complete. And most of jealousy is due to insecurity or just coveting something that they want from you. Because I done seen married couples come together and they literally try to do a destiny swap on their spouse and leave. Significant others, they as well. I had one person went to saying, I had made a video about jealousy, and they said it was something about narcissism. And I said, everybody want to call things narcissism, but that's not so. Okay? See, there's not jealousy. Yes, it's jealousy. When you look the word up, jealousy is the envy, to covet something that don't belong to them, to want it. And I look at people, you can't say everything's a narcissism. A lot of people that say these things are the narcissists. They the ones who want something for nothing and want everything to be about them. And when you check them, they be like, they are narcissists. They want everything to be about them just because they wouldn't go along with their plan. It's unfair and mean and nasty, especially for someone to be in a relationship with you and don't want to contribute anything. That's being about them. But the moment you tell that woman she don't have no children, or the children are in school all day, and she feels she shouldn't work. But as inflation rises and things become more difficult, if you love someone, you want to take off some of that weight off of them. Okay? Love covers a multitude of things, not just sin. But it should bring you more peace. You should feel the help. The weight comes off of your shoulder. Life is smoother for the both of you all. And I tell people, first of all, if you were single, you'll have your place, he have his place, you have your bills, he have his bills. When you come together, those bills should be cut in half for the both of you. That's the problem. And then they look at these superficial relationships. These girls get online and Instagram and lie about everything. He doing this, he doing that. Child, they be just lying. They be just lying. I can honestly say I had a beautiful husband. He worked. I worked. Even when I was making more money than him, I would go forth and pay the mortgage right off. He'd turn around, come in and give me the money. Nah, I'm the king of my castle. That's how he felt. I pay the bills right off. He'd come in, give me the money. He wanted to be the dominant one to give the children their allowances. I would cook. I showed him how to cook. He then went to go get a chef. He wanted to cook. He wanted to make the meals. He He didn't even ask me to do certain things, but I had the more money. And even when we separated, I was like, well, while we was married, he got his home. He bought him a home. But when we separated, he didn't ask for spousal support because he volunteered to do things. Even when I said, oh, I can do this and help you get this together, he said, I got my home. Okay? He ended up not getting a divorce because we talked about it and everything, and he ended up dying. So none of that came to pass. But he didn't base his life of what he was going to do for his wife or the children off of what he sees somebody else do. I'm doing too much. He had his own mind, his own way of thinking, as well as I did. And when he made his transition, I took care of everything, you know. And then I have met guys along the way, and they looked like I was a meal ticket. And I was like, look, first of all, I ain't a meal ticket. If you ain't going to be full grown and handle full grown bills, you just won't be here. I'm not asking for everything. I'm just asking for what God has for my life. And it has to be reasonable. I look at me and you out your mind if you sit around and meet somebody and you just go in and pay all the bills. They're just a bum. Okay, go find a real woman who invests in herself as well as her significant other. Y'all supposed to be coming up together. And that's the problem, the lack of love. She want to try to live beyond her means, or he want to live beyond his means and impress his friends. And, you know, they don't have their own mind about anything. And I tell people, it creates a lot of jealousy. You have to be careful who you hang out with, because if you hang around this person and he can send, or they can take trips every 3 to 6 months and you can't, sometimes your spouse will start egging at you because they're trying to covet something that's not their reality and live beyond their means. Sometimes they try to make you live a lifestyle that's too far way beyond you, way beyond your means, you know, or they feel, oh, she's making this, and this, we should be able to do this, comparing it to somebody else. And they think hard and long, and that's where the problem come in. They get to the point they're jealous of what you have, and they can base it off of something that somebody else have. You know, they don't know all the ins and outs, okay? And you have people in a relationship, I mean, you can sing, and I have seen it. And you can marry to somebody and y'all come together because y'all both sing. But if you out-sing that person and you get more accolades, they be trying to ruin your career. They be trying to rule, because you may just be singing at church. They be trying to compete with you. And they be wishing and praying that they can outdo you, you know. And that's just jealousy you get within a relationship. I tell people to cover yourself, try to communicate and talk about things beforehand. But I always tell people, sometimes it is your spouse that's jealous of you, that's hindering you. They don't want you to have friends because their friends may look down on them because they a bum and don't want to come higher. And then your friends may call it out. And even if you bring them down, that's what they do. We done seen it in relationships. You know, I can't say what went on the inside of celebrity relations. We're going to use Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown, but everybody wanted to hate on him. But when she came out and said it wasn't him and it was her, then everybody then looked stale-faced. But sometimes you just got to accept the fact that people choose to do what they want in a relationship. But then I remember a time when she got some awards and his response was very negative. His career wasn't flying the way he wanted to. But it's up now. I'm proud of him, you know. Anybody make it out the hood or establish something on that level of greatness, you know, they deserve the accolades. But sometimes within the marriage and relationship, it can cause a great conflict I done seen happen in the gospel world. You know, they worked everything out. They was good, you know, but sometimes you get in a stink. You know, it's this person's time to shine and not your time to shine. And, you know, sometimes it can be a hard pill to swallow, you know. But we're talking about jealousy in relationships, intimate relationships. And preparing yourself, and before you even get married, get your mind together. Start thinking about those things. How would you feel this person obtain this? How would you feel if they go up higher? How would you feel if this is greater for in their life than your life? You know, you have to evaluate those things, because real love, you want to see people get all the greatness they can get. But sometimes it is still hard to swallow, because you see yourself here and they just rising. But you remember, if someone's rising, they're putting the work in, and you won't have to learn to do the same. That's all I can say about that. I'm that girl goddess. Y'all like, share, and subscribe.